Welcome into the Dad Verb Podcast, where we chat about parenting from the lens of a dad. My name is Andrew, and Ben, we got some explaining to do. Okay, we were pretty consistent. Then we had a blip. Then we went to Las Vegas, and then we had another blip. But now we're back to the consistency. Let's explain to the people what's been going on. We had some hiccups last week. We were planning on recording. I've been MIA a little bit. Been busy.
We hit a wall. We hit a bit of a wall. And it was just like this confluence of life events and kids and technology, and it just did not work out the way we wanted it to. Yeah. So if I remember right, by the way, how are your kids? Because last I knew, when you were coming home from Vegas, there was a stomach virus running through your house. Did you guys survive it?
Yeah, so there was like a stomach thing, but luckily it was a quick blip and it didn't rip through our family. And then it was all good. But then we all caught a cold, and that ripped through our family. And I still have a lingering cough after that, but we're good. We're actually, I can say for the first time in a long time on this podcast, we're all healthy. So knock on some wood. But we are good. Okay. How about you?
Yeah, so we were healthy. Everything was fine up until probably Wednesday of last week. My son, I was looking at him, and his eye looked a little bit red, and then he woke up from his nap, and it was a little goopy, and lo and behold, we had a bacterial pink eye infection. Mm-hmm. So that was fun. Trying to do eye drops in a 2-year-old who's going to fight you with everything they have. And now he's got kind of this little cough thing going on, but it hasn't really developed into anything, which I'm very thankful for. But yeah, we're on the mend. So I think that's a big plus, but our first experience with pink eye in this house, with the kids. So, luckily we've kept the baby from getting it. Neither, I or my wife have gotten it. So lots of hand washing, lots of sanitizer, and, just generally trying to keep our hands clean so we don't end up, with pink goopy eyes.
I've been there a couple of times, and it's not fun. We've had, the first time we did the whole pink eye thing, it got all of our kids, including the baby, and that was annoying. And it was just but then then they prescribe the antibiotic drops, and then they like you said, they fight you for it, and it's are they getting the full dose of the medicine? Because the moment the drop goes in, they just squeeze their eye, and then the drop pops out. I'm did they get the medicine? What is happening?
No idea.
Yeah, but it just happens, man, and there's more to come. I'm sorry to break it to you, but that's just how it be, and
I'm sure
it's just how it is. But I mean, I'm glad that it was kind of relatively contained to just the one kiddo, and it didn't hit all you guys. That sucks when it hits everybody.
That was the big worry, is it going to hit the little girl? Luckily it didn't get to our daughter, who, obviously she's very, very young. And she would have been, most likely would have been fine, but it just would have been a struggle trying to get eye drops into a 3-month-old.
Right. Well, and then after that, so that kind of delayed our recording, our intended plan to record. And then there was an internet snafu, which I feel maybe it's on my end this time, but if the listeners right now, whether you're watching or listening, there's a slight reporter's delay. It's because the internet is, I think, good, but maybe a little bit bad on my end. But what happened with you?
Ours was just having general issues. It was we could download things, but the upload speed was so bad. So we would just have really intermittent connection. So, one of those things where you call your service provider and they're like, yeah, we'll get to you in 3 days. And I had this weird, first world panic attack where I'm realizing that, I'm sure most families, we have completely switched from, traditional cable or satellite services.
Yeah, you're streaming everything.
We only stream stuff, right? So Netflix, Disney Plus, HBO Max, we have all of it. We probably spend more money than we did on cable.
Yeah. Once the internet goes down, it all goes down
now. Right. But the internet goes down, and then it's oh my God, my kid can't watch Llama Llama. There's no Bluey, there's no, there's nothing. So it's like,
Nothing.
what do you do? Like, oh God, I need to come up with like games and like entertainment. And we spent a
Yeah.
lot of time outside for the last 3 days, which I think was good. But definitely a first world parenting problem.
Straight up, like, yeah,
Yeah.
like these kids need their freaking show so that we can survive here. Okay. So,
Right.
yeah, no, I
Yeah,
I bet that was a
you've got
tough
three
48
kids.
hours.
I've got two. It's sometimes you need a screen to just help them get
Yeah.
through a moment or to give you a break to like get to one of the other kids or whatever. Like there's somebody that requires more attention. And so at
Yeah.
that point, it's like, hey, why don't you watch a show for a couple minutes while I go do X, Y, or Z, right? While I do
Right.
dishes or finish, change a diaper or whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
and we don't have any internet. It's like, I mean, we have a fenced backyard, but still, it's like sending your 2-year-old out to your backyard with no one to supervise them while you do anything
Yeah.
is just a recipe for like, absolute chaos.
So yeah, it is hard for me to trust our kids in the backyard because, well, Sienna she just turned 1, which is awesome. We've got a 1-year-old now. That's great. She's becoming much more mobile. She took her first steps today.
That's awesome.
It's actually really cool. The things that's
Such
happening
a
with
big
her.
milestone.
I'm freaking in love with her, dude. It's amazing. But yeah, cannot trust her in the back because like we've got in the East Coast, we grew up with squirrels. We don't have those here. We have bunny rabbits instead. But as cute as they are just rodents, and they poop everywhere, all over our yard. And Sienna is she's finding the poop. She hasn't eaten it yet, but when Colin was just starting to get really mobile, walk around, and like he would find the poop and then just pop it in his mouth like a candy, and he would eat it. So and it was just like, man, you feel terrible as a parent, like, but like. We slipped, and he would eat the bunny poop. So,
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
it's just how it is, man. Sometimes, but yeah, I'm jealous though. You've got a nice backyard situation. We talked about it briefly in a previous podcast.
Yep.
Where's that project at? Is it done?
It's done. Totally done. Yep. Yeah. So we have the backyard, the patio, the pergola, all that stuff is completely done. So we are going to kick off the summer season with a little Memorial Day party. So we're excited for that. Finally have people
awesome.
over to enjoy the yard. So it's something we've wanted to do for a really long time. And, we're finally in a position to do it. So it worked out really well. We're stoked to let people see it and get to enjoy it.
We had a play set in our backyard. We got rid of it. We sold it to my brother-in-law, and my nephew is really enjoying it now. But we have a clear, open backyard, and it's been great. We've been playing like full-on soccer matches in our backyard. But we did that so that we can make room for turf. Like turf is like the next like big plan in our backyard. We need to get the yard graded, a retaining wall built in the back. And then turf, right? That's like the big goal.
Right.
It's so high on my list. That's like the next. I don't want a new car. Like I don't want like the big thing that I'm saving for is turf. Okay,
Turfed backyard.
don't know how to pay for it. So it's like it in all reality is it's gonna cost like 20 or 30K. Like that's what it's gonna cost to redo our yard. I don't know how you pay for that though. So I want your advice. How do you because there's the option you pay, you like finance it like you're paying for a car. You do down payment, you paid off over, I don't know, 36-month period or whatever. Okay, this is real dad talk, guys. How do you finance a backyard project? Like that's but then what's the home line equity? Wait, what is that called? When it's like you take equity out of your home
equity.
A HELOC,
line
that was
of
what it
credit.
was.
Yeah, there's two different options. There's you can use the equity in your home to finance large projects, right? Like basically you're taking a loan out of the equity, right? Like the increased value of your home versus what you owe on it to you're borrowing against that to finance your project, right? And most banks will give you, up to a certain amount.
But the rate, and aren't rates like insane right now? So like a HELOC is probably not.
Rates are high. Yeah.
Yeah. So
rates are
don't
high.
do that, right?
I think like a 30-year mortgage right now is averaging like 7% from what I was reading, which, if you were able to refinance in 2020, like, most people who did refinance are in like the twos, right? Like 2.8, 3 point, whatever.
Yeah. We're sub 3, so we're happy.
Which is right. Being, sub 3 on a 30-year mortgage is awesome. I never thought we would be there, but here we are.
Yeah, we're fortunate. We're fortunate.
So I will say, like, when we financed our backyard project, we did it through a HELOC, but like those rates are, even when we got in, are between, like 5 and 7%, right? So that's on a big project. That's a lot of money to finance. And so, that's kind of where the challenge is, where you need to look at, weighing the cost benefit, right? So how much is it going to cost to eventually pay that loan off? So if you take out, $50,000 to do the project, but then you're at 7%, like depending on how long you pay that off, depends on how much you're actually paying back to the bank on that equity. And again, you're using your house as collateral. So if for some reason you can't pay that loan back, like they have a lien on your home and they can technically take your house, right? So, you definitely don't want to finance more than you can actually handle, or take on more than you can handle for, your normal expenses and normal living expenses.
Right.
But it is an option. And the other thing, I think, again, this is not financial advice or anything like that.
Yeah, this isn't financial advice, guys.
We were financing our project.
Yeah, right.
But we weighed it out, and we basically said, like, there's generally no penalty for repaying a HELOC early, right? So you can do it over, 5 years, 10 years, 30 years. There's typically a draw period of 10 years where you can actually take money out of the HELOC, like a credit card. And then you enter what's called repayment, which is usually a term of, again, 20 years, 30 years, kind of like a mortgage. So it's effectively a second mortgage on your house. So again, it's really just, what you want to do. And, you could do a 30-year finance and then pay it off early. Just like you can do a 30-year finance on a mortgage. And if you make extra payments, you end up paying it off early. So it really just depends on, like, financially where you are. Like, are you going to be able to pull in extra money to pay that down faster, so you're not paying as much interest? Or is it, not going to hit quite as much, where you can float a higher payment for a shorter period of time? But again, just all stuff to consider when you're thinking about, like, these big projects. And then the other option too is, like, rates are up now. Eventually they will start to come back down to a more normal level, right?
Exactly.
Most cases you have the opportunity to refinance that debt as well. Just like you would with a mortgage, where you could refinance it to a lower rate, which would make things, a little bit easier, make your payment lower, or keep the same payment and pay it off over a shorter period of time. So
I'm just so impatient. I just want it now. Like, I'm so impatient. Dude, what would be really nice? It'd be so good if I was a billionaire. If I was just rich, and then I could buy whatever I want.
Like, life would be
so like, that would be so nice. How do you do that? Do you just invent a Facebook or something, right? It's easy. You just do that. You invent TikTok, and you should be good. Well, thank you for letting me pick your brain about just tip, not financial advice, guys. This is not financial advice, but this is just, so, like, we've been budgeting, like, pretty well lately. Like, we've been really good about it. We've kind of set strict limits on ourselves, because we've just been spending so much on dumb stuff, right? Like, just dumb little things that accrue. And then it's like, we spend so much on, like, little things that we don't really need, and stuff on the kids that, like, makes them happy for 4 seconds, but really is it have long-term value? So we really cut a bunch of the stuff to put away so that we can do, like, real home things that we've been putting off for so long. And it's just because we've been irresponsible. But started doing it, and it's, like, literally been life-changing. So, like, we were able to within, like, the first month or so, like, we were like, wow, we're good. We can do our first project. So our first project was, we bought a new couch. It was on sale from Costco. We were like, wow, we can sell our old one, sell a couple things. And with the savings just from the first month, like, all right, we got a new couch. So we're paying off, so we're paying off the couch. We just did, like, a quick little, like, 3-month finance thing. But then once that's done, all right, now we want to do, like, these curtains all around our house, smart curtains, because we're bougie, right? And I just want to do it with a button. because I can't be bothered to use my hands to open the blinds. No, we're not savages. So so we're gonna drop another couple thousand on that.
Modern living.
Oh my gosh, it's so true. But yeah, that's like the next big project, and then so we're gonna ramp up. We've wanted to do like lighting and new faucets and all that stuff. And then we'll ramp up to the turf, and eventually an outdoor kitchen. I have a buddy of mine who's much more handy, and he's like building his own outdoor kitchen. I think that's the one thing that I really want to do more of. I'll be more handy and just build stuff by myself. I can do like the basic like installation of basic, plumbing and faucets and lights, but like building stuff and like cutting the wood, like that's the thing that like I feel like I enjoy, but I don't know how to do. And I feel, this is weird. I don't know about you, but like, I feel like less of a man, less of a dad because like I'm not handy.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if that's like
100%.
That's just me or what, but like, I wish I could do more of like the home build stuff, because I like it.
Yeah. I think part of that is like our generation, like where we sit between, kind of boomers and, I think we are generally raised, at least in my case, and I'm sure in yours too, I was raised by very capable people. So like, my grandfather was very, very capable, knew how to fix a lot of things, very good with his hands, did, a lot of he did manual labor his entire life, construction, logging, all kinds of stuff. We used to build horse fences and, horse runs and all kinds of stuff for the animals and whatnot around their house. And, I remember actually it was one of the things that happened, right after we had our son and he was starting to walk is a friend of mine had built a baby gate and I was like, yeah, I'm going to go build a baby gate. Like it can't be that hard. I found plans online. I got all the materials together. I built the monstrous catastrophe of a baby gate. And I mean, I spent hours on this thing and then I brought it upstairs. I got it mounted to the wall and I looked at it and I was like, and I knew it was terrible. And I had my wife come up and look at it and she looks at it and she just looks at the bottom and she goes, the gap is too big at the bottom. Like the baby's going to be able to crawl through this. And I remember it just in like a blind rage, I unmounted it and like took this 30-pound wooden gate back downstairs and was just like threw it into the garage.
Oh man.
And it was one of those things where again, it was like I was raised by like very capable people and I was like, man, I cannot build a baby gate. But I also realized too that when I look back at all the projects my grandfather used to do, he used to overbuild everything and nothing was ever like quite perfect. Like he wasn't like a finished carpenter or anything like that. Like he could build like a basic gate.
Yeah.
And then it would,
good enough.
It would be 100 pounds. It'd be a little bit cockeyed. And like, you'd need 24 screws to mount it to whatever it was supposed to be stuck to. It was never going to move and it was good enough, but like it never looked great and it never functioned quite the way he wanted it to. And that's exactly how I build stuff. Never looks quite right. It's always got a little lean or a little slant, but yeah,
I see here. Okay. Let me, a little bit about me now. So, okay. My dad came from a very hardworking family in the Philippines, in Manila, right? So when he came to the United States, he really had the mentality of like living the American dream of saying like, listen, I want to leave behind all the hard labor that I had to do growing up in the Philippines. And I just want to I want to be so successful that I can just pay people to do the things that I want to do. Right. So growing up, my dad hustled and he worked hard and he got into Wall Street and he worked on Wall Street. Right. And he did well. And I grew up in a happy, good, middle class, just easy going American home in New Jersey. Right. But there was no handiwork ever. If anything was broken or needed fixing or whatever, my dad wouldn't touch it. I don't even know where his toolbox was, right? So like he would just pay someone, some sort of handyman, or defer to his friends and be like, "Hey, you do this for me, okay? I have the money to pay you." Right? That was like his mentality. So I didn't grow up with that, that kind of know-how, the ability to work with basic tools. And like, I know, like I have friends who be like, yeah, man, when I was young, I was just exposed to just like working with drywall. I would just like work the summers with my dad or whoever, just like doing drywall or doing lumber or whatever. Like I didn't have that. And it's not that I resent it, but like the thing is like, I actually enjoy those kinds of things. And I wish I had more of that know-how. I just don't. And another thing, like I don't know dick about cars. Like I don't know a thing. Like I hate, like I'm not a car person, man. And all my buddies like, oh, we're talking about this car, that car. Man, I drive a Civic and I'm happy. Like I don't know a thing. But again, it's because like I just didn't grow up with like the know-how of like how to open a hood and be like, yeah, that's the thing that connects to that other thing. Look at that. That goes fast because it's a Hemi. I think it's a Hemi. I don't know. It's just like I just didn't have that. But the thing is like, and I guess the car stuff I don't care about, but like building, really working with my hands, like I enjoy that. And recently I started getting into it, started building like framing walls and stuff like that. It's just I enjoy that, and I just want to learn more of it. So it's just moving forward. It's just going to be more YouTube tutorials. And
there is something tremendously satisfying about, even when it's not right, about building something with your own hands.
Absolutely,
and having it at least be moderately functional. Right. Like I can't do a lot of stuff. Like I'm not super, super capable when it comes to building things, but like I can do some basic stuff.
Yes.
And I know, just enough to do, again, really, really basic carpentry, putting things together, this, that, and the other, basic vehicle maintenance, all that stuff. If I needed to change my oil or rotate my tires or any of that stuff, like I could do all of that. But it's, again, I think there's a sort of knowledge that I don't have. Like you said, like I would not be comfortable framing a wall, like, because I just know there's something, wouldn't work out quite right. But, I did build, I built a garbage hide because I was required to by our HOA. We have to use garbage hide so you can't see your cans from the street. Yeah, it's HOAs are fun. And so, it was either pay, a couple $100s to somebody to go build it. And I was like, you know what? This is super basic. It's 3 poles and some panels. Like it can't be that hard to do. And so I was able to do that in a weekend. And it's one of the poles is like a little bit off center, a little bit cockeyed. Again, but it functions, it works, it looks the same color as the house, which is what it needed to be, and I didn't have to pay someone to do it. But I will say, going back to your story, the idea that like paying the right people to do things, I think there's this balance, right, that you kind of need to find between this sort of hyper independent, like ultra masculine, like I can do anything, I can build anything, I can craft anything I need to. I'm sort of a jack of all trades or a master of all trades. And then the idea that like maybe it's better, my time is better spent paying an expert to do the thing that needs to be done. Like big electrical projects, like I can install a light, but I'm not going to run like a 240 from my panel around to like wire up a hot tub or something. There's a lot of people that probably be comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
I don't want to touch the wrong wire and die.
I want to know though, but I can't. I just can't. So like the turf project and like moving the sprinklers and all that, like that's not going to, I can't. No, there's no way. There's no way. But like I want to. Yeah. Because I enjoy that stuff. I want to, maybe, I don't know if I could do it right now, but like, I want to like do like a man test, right? Well, quote unquote man test, like go down a list, like yes or no, do you know how to do it? All right, let me just think of a couple off my head. Right. Can you change a car battery?
Yes. Yeah, I can.
I cannot. Can you change your own oil?
Yes, if I needed to.
I do not. I defer to other people. I think that's a basic thing that I should, but I don't.
It's one of those things that it's like once you do it, it's not as scary as it seems. There's like some very basic tools you need and basic knowledge, but it's pretty straightforward. Honestly, if somebody showed you one time, you would know how to do it.
How do you dispose of the oil? What's a proper way to dispose it? You have to like do it properly, right?
Yeah, a lot of if you have a recycling center near you, like where you take like big stuff like limbs and old beds and whatever, a lot of times they have oil disposal.
Can you install basic lighting and fans?
Yes.
Yes, I can as well. Just a few YouTube tutorials. That was pretty easy. Can you do basic, not plumbing, but like new faucets and stuff like that on your sink?
Yeah, I'd be able to do that.
That's a newer thing for me, but I feel like I'm pretty confident in that now. Like, I don't think I need to look on YouTube now. Like, I can figure it out. So I'm happy. I'm comfortable with that as well. What about like plumbing, right? A pipe break, right? In your wall, like, oh man, I got to cut through the drywall or something like that. Or I don't know, I got some like, can you fix broken pipes?
I would probably hire someone to do that.
Yeah, me too.
I know how. So I know how to shut off the water in the house, and I would then probably pay someone to do that work.
I'm trying to think of other like things. Do you mow your own yard? Oh, that's a freebie. We all mow our yards.
Oh yeah,
we all do edging.
Yeah.
I do a damn good job of it. I'm just saying. Man, my yard looks good.
I do. I feel like I do a pretty good job of it.
Do you know how to make like your yard green?
Do I do it all the time? Not really. But do I know how to do it? Yes. It's like, just do I have the time and want to put the effort into it?
That we've got Bermuda grass, and I felt like it was tricky for a little bit. You know what happened, dude? So we had a new build. We moved into our house, I don't know, like 4 years ago or something like that. And our like they left a ton of construction debris like just in the yard, and they just threw grass over it. Because I think the way it works is like when they haul away debris and rocks and all that stuff, they haul it away, and there's like this pricing structure that's like, it depends on the tonnage and the weight. And there's just like a lot left over, and they're just like, you know what, this is good enough. Let's just leave it. So they just left a ton of stuff in the yard.
Yeah.
And only recently I was just like, dude, how come there are some spots in my yard that just will not get green? I've done a lot of hard work to make sure that my yard looks good, looks pristine, right? I've done the research, but I call them birthmarks. There are like birthmarks on my yard where there are two spots that just could not ever get green. They stay dead, literally dead. And I'm like, what the hell? So I only recently, someone's like, maybe there's just like a rock layer under there. And I was like, oh, it just like clicked. So I took like this little weeding tool and just stuck it down there. It went down about an inch and just hit rock. I was like, oh, no way. And I went to the other spot, same exact thing. There were, and I excavated just over, like, it was like about 200 pounds worth of limestone, concrete, rock, just like wood planks, just there. And I just took it all out, and it was like, I was supposed to do just like a basic hour of yard work. It turned into 3 hours of just like yard work plus. And my wife was pissed at me. She's like, you should be here with the kids. But like, I was low key enjoying it. I was like listening to my podcast. I was like,
I feel like once you get
work,
started on a project like that, you just have to finish it.
Oh yeah. I was like getting a tan. If you're watching on YouTube, I've got like this two-tone situation going on where it's like light, dark, and that's from the yard work. I brown easy. Anyway, so I was like just taking a ton of this rock out. And now I got all the rock out, bought new patches of grass, patched it up, leveled it. We're good to go. So we should be back to normal. But I was just like so frustrated. I was like, why? These people are just lazy, just shortcuts, man. People are trying to build houses as quickly as possible with as many shortcuts as possible. And it's infuriating.
All right, guys. So I know we have been having a good discussion about general dad topics, and I want to apologize to everybody because I think I might still be having internet issues. So I'm going to go try and hunt down some gremlins in my network. But I just wanted to come on here and wrap it up. And first of all, again, apologize that we are not on our regular schedule and that we've had a couple of blips in consistency here, but we're going to be back to a much more consistent schedule. Fingers crossed, everybody stays healthy. We can hit a regular recording schedule. But we are back at home in our own studios with obviously our own internet connections. So as long as those stay stable, we will keep pumping out these podcast episodes. We're going to be coming at you in the next episode with some more some more timely topics and maybe a little bit more structure. But this has been fun, just kind of talking about some random topics and just having a good conversation about dad stuff. So with that, Andrew, anything you want to say before we close out?
Thank you for listening and watching. If you are watching on YouTube, again, we appreciate any sort of 5-star ratings on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you again for listening, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.